India is all set to vote in its penultimate phase of the Lok Sabha elections this week. 5 phases over. The 6th phase will take place on the 25th of May. Hello and welcome to Road to Lok Sabha 2024. Mera Now special show on the great Indian election. I'm Shreya Upadhyaya. Some of the most crucial battles will be fought in phase 6 in Delhi, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal and Jharkhand. We'll decode the issues and the vote pattern with our panel of guests on the show today. But before that, let's quickly get you an overview of the seats that are going to polls in phase 6. Remember, a lot of crucial battles that will be playing out in phase 6. Let's quickly get you those. Uttar Pradesh has 14 seats going to polls in phase 6. Important battles that are panning out. Haryana has 10 seats. Remember, issues also remain very, very crucial in these states. West Bengal has 7 seats going to polls in phase 6 of the Lok Sabha election. Apart from that, Bihar with 8 seats, very important seats there in Bihar, also going to polls in phase 6 of the Lok Sabha elections on the 25th of May. Odisha has 6 seats going to polls, another battle, another political battle that is playing out, the BJP versus BJD in Odisha. That is something to look out for. Jharkhand has 4 seats going to polls in phase 6 of the Lok Sabha elections. And of course, there are other regions as well. Delhi, all 7 seats, a very, very crucial battle that's playing out in the national capital. Delhi, with all its 7 seats, will be seeing a very, very important battle. Apart from this, Jammu and Kashmir also has the 1 seat of Anantnag Rajouri seat that is going to polls in phase 6. Let's begin with Delhi. Before I go to my guests and introduce them on the show, let me quickly go across to my colleague Nikhil, who is joining us from the national capital with voices on the ground. Let's let's understand from him what the concerns of the voter in Delhi are. Nikhil, Delhi is a very, very important battle that will be panning out in phase 6 of the Lok Sabha elections. There are a lot of issues that pertain to an average Delhiite. You're with some of the people there. Get us those voices and help us understand what their issues will be this time around.
So Shreya, we are currently reporting from the East Delhi constituency. There are 7 of these seats. Currently, all 7 are with the Bharatiya Janata Party, and now 4 of the seats are being fought by Aadmi Party as far as the opposition are concerned, and 3 of the seats is where Congress have provided their candidates for the India Alliance partner. So we need to see as to how many seats BJP is going to retain this time. We are joined by some of the voters of the East Delhi constituency. Remember, on 25th of May, the national capital Delhi is going to cast their vote. We are joined by some of the voters that take their view as to what their opinion is. रेणु जी, आपसे शुरू करते हैं. 25 तारीख को दिल्ली वोट डालने वाली है. आप भी एक वोटर हैं. क्या मुद्दे हैं आपके लिए? किसको सोच करके आप वोट डालने जाते हैं?
देखिए, मैं भी एक महिला हूँ और इस देश की एक पार्ट हूँ. तो एज ए वोटर मैं ये चाहती हूँ कि देश में एक तो महिला सुरक्षा जो है वो अच्छी रहे, और साथ में महंगाई का मुद्दा भी मैं मानती हूँ, क्योंकि लेडीज़ को किचन से भी वास्ता पड़ता है. तो थोड़ा सा वहाँ पर भी एक कंट्रोल हो, और बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं मुद्दे, जैसे कि पोल्यूशन लेवल है वो काफ़ी कम रहे, लोग स्वस्थ रहें. तो ये इस टाइप के जो मुद्दे हैं उसको देखकर मैं वोट ज़रूर करूँगी.
बिल्कुल, बहुत अच्छी बात ये आपने बोली है. सर, आपके पास मैं आऊँगा. आपके हिसाब से, क्योंकि आप दिल्ली में, मैं मान के चल रहा हूँ कि आप बहुत सालों से होंगे, क्या बदलाव आपको देखने को मिला? 10 साल में आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार है. हालांकि यहाँ पे जो पार्टी किस तरीके से समीकरण देखते हैं?
देखो, मैं चाहता हूँ कि 10 साल से केजरीवाल की सरकार देख ली, कोई काम नहीं है, उल्टा माइनस में जा रहा पूरा दिल्ली. ना सफाई, ना रोडें, ना कूड़ा उठता, ना कोई सुनवाई, किसी चीज़ का कोई काम नहीं. फ्री बिजली पानी से हमारा कोई लेन देन इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि हम भी चाहते हैं कि अगर 2 पैसा देश के पास इकट्ठा हो रहा है तो वो देश के काम में लगे. हम जहाँ रह रहे हैं, हम अगर अपना घर साफ रखते हैं तो हम चाहते हैं कि हमारी दिल्ली भी साफ हो.
अरविंद केजरीवाल यही तो बात कर रहे हैं कि आपने विधानसभा दे दी, लोकसभा 7 की 7 सीटें देखिए, फिर बदलाव देखिए क्या निकल के आता है.
नहीं, मतलब सीट देने के बाद बदलाव क्यों? जो 10 साल मिले थे उसी में बदलाव दिखा देते तो ज़िंदगी भर के लिए वो सेट होते. वो ज़िंदगी भर के लिए दिल्ली को अपना के रखते. उनको जगह ही नहीं मिलती दूसरी और कोई. अगर उनको दिल्ली हमने 10 साल के लिए सौंपी थी तो हमारे को कुछ ऐसा बदलाव दिखाते कि हमारा दूसरा मन ही ना होता कि किसी और को दें.
ठीक है, वी आर गोइंग टू सम अदर वोटर्स एज वेल। आप दिल्ली के नहीं हैं, ये बात ठीक है, आपसे मेरी बात हो रही थी, आप दिल्ली के नहीं हैं, लेकिन जो लोग भी दिल्ली के बाहर के, उनकी बड़ी समस्या ये है कि जो रियल एस्टेट वाला इंडस्ट्री है, अफोर्डेबल प्राइजेस नहीं है। आप चाहे गुड़गांव निकल जाइए, नोएडा निकल जाइए, दिल्ली में तो जगह ही नहीं बची। क्या ये भी एक मुद्दा होना चाहिए या है?
होना चाहिए, बिल्कुल होना चाहिए।
और क्या क्या इश्यूज हैं जो निकल के आते हैं आपके लिए?
नहीं, एक्चुअली मैं तो यहाँ रहता नहीं हूँ, मैं तो बहुत कम रहता हूँ, गाँव में रहता हूँ, तो मैं वहीं पे वोट डालता हूँ, वोटिंग किया है।
अच्छा, लेकिन ये सब इश्यूज बरकरार हैं आपके लिए भी?
ये तो रहेंगे ही सर।
ठीक है। आप बताइए, रोजमर्रा जीवन में आप भी कुछ ना कुछ जॉब वॉब कर रहे होते हैं, आपके लिए क्या इश्यूज निकल के आते हैं? क्या महंगाई है, नहीं है? किस तरीके से आप वोट करेंगे या किस तरीके से लोगों को करना चाहिए?
महंगाई तो है सर। महंगाई है बिल्कुल।
पर उसके बाद भी मुस्कान अगर बरकरार है तो क्या बुराई है?
कुछ बुराई नहीं।
Okay, so this is the voice which is coming in from the voters of the East Delhi constituency. So clearly transportation is one of the issue. There is overcrowding as well. Mehengai is another, especially for the women. So these are the couple of things which is being raised by these voters. Now we need to see as to how much difference would the political parties be making once they win all the 7 seats or whatever the number of seats given to them by the voters. Back to you, Shreya.
Nikhil, also very important, and I'm glad that she made that point, that pollution and environment remains a big concern for the voter in Delhi. And that is something that needs to be looked at when political parties come to voters to campaign and ask them to vote for them. That should be one of the top concerns for voters, especially in the national capital.
Well, clearly, and starting from the month of October, this is something which we usually see, and we have seen that how the blame game usually used to take place when there were different set of government between Delhi and Punjab, and now both these states are being ruled by the Aam Aadmi Party. But remember, last time Arvind Kejriwal and Bhagwant Mann, they came on a single platform. This is being referred to the last year, so to say, and they clearly said that yes, they are the ones to be blamed, and they are going to come up with a better solution. But so far, we have not seen any of the better works which have been done as far as, say, curbing of the pollution is concerned. And this is the menace which have been here for years now. So we need to see as to how much impact it is going to make for the political leaders like Arvind Kejriwal or the Bharatiya Janata Party for that matter.
Right, Nikhil, thanks very much for joining us with voices on ground and helping us understand what the Delhi voter wants. Let me also get in my guests on the show this evening. I'm joined by Jay Mrug, he's a psephologist. Tushar Gupta is a political analyst. Pratim Ranjan Bose, senior journalist and columnist. And Rameez Makhdoomi is a senior journalist, also joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, namaskar to all of you. Jay Mrug, let me start with you. You know what's also interesting, when we heard those voices, and I'm sure all of you could hear them, the concerns of the voters on ground has been very, very localized issues, whether it's pollution, transport. There's, of course, employment concern. That remains a major issue across all regions in the country. But in Delhi, more so, do you think that, there is that awareness that local issues need to take precedence over national issues, and that difference remains in a general election?
I would look at it in a broader framework. It is like Maslow's hierarchy. There's a pyramid of hierarchy that Maslow suggested, the great sociologist. Now, people, even in the democracy, are maturing and moving up the pyramid. So, what was indeed noteworthy of observation was that one of the respondents on the ground said कि भाई बिजली पानी फ्री का क्या करूं, उसका थोड़ा पैसा देंगे तो भी चलेगा, but these other ABC XYZ things need to improve. Means somewhere in Maslow's pyramid he's gone up, right? And that's what was visible among all the respondents, that they were going up, they were asking for something better to do with the quality of their life. They referred to inflation, they referred to pollution. So I think this is but a natural uptick in the voters' preference. And as we go ahead, we are going to see more and more such voters talking beyond freebies. I think the headline of that entire set of interviews that Nikhil just took was people looking at quality of life, number one, people willing to look beyond freebies, number two. I think those are the real two takeaways from that conversation.
Gupta, let me come to you now. You know, we heard one of the voices not being very happy with the AAP government in Delhi, saying that what will we do? We are not getting the free electricity and water and all of that, and that remains a concern. But as opposed to that, what's the BJP offering at a local level? You've got the BJP candidates going on ground campaigning, but they're talking about national security and other concerns. But at the end of the day, this also matters, doesn't it? The on-ground local concerns of the people.
No, look, if you're talking about Delhi, one of the problems that the Delhi residents have been facing for the last 10 years is the continuous tussle between the center and the state government. And this tussle has been one side. Arvind Kejriwal, for reasons best known to him, has been too stubborn when it comes to working with the center. We were talking about the infra issues, which one of the people speaking to your report also cited. I'll give you a very simple example. The RRTS, which will be very, very instrumental in decongesting Delhi. We already have the first stretch underway from Delhi to Meerut. A couple of other stretches from Delhi to Panipat and Alwar were coming up, and the sanctions had to be given, the funds had to be released. Who was that one chief minister of the 4 states that was hesitant to release the funds until the Supreme Court nabbed him? It was Arvind Kejriwal. He himself is not interested in Delhi's infrastructure and its expansion, and that is now harming Delhi's prospects. Even if you're talking about the local issues, let's talk about pollution. We all keep talking about pollution every year in the winter months, but nothing has really worked. Aadmi Party has been in power in Punjab for the last 2 years now. This is the 3rd year they're in power. They've not found a solution to stubble burning. Since 2013 until 2022, for a decade almost, they used to claim that this is the doing of the Congress government, this is the doing of the Akali government, we have a solution, we have all the scientific methods. Come 2022, they have done absolutely nothing. So the people also see through. And I'll talk to you about the freebies also, Shreya. Do you know when Arvind Kejriwal took over in 2013, the debt of the Jal board was 20,000 crore rupees, which could have been surfaced if the revenues were increased? Pretty simple. Now in 2022 rather, the debt of the Delhi Jal board has exceeded 74,000 crore rupees. That's very, very dangerous. And you talk to any commercial establishment in Delhi, since we're on local issues, talk to any commercial establishment. They have one complaint against Arvind Kejriwal, that we are being charged very, very highly for electricity rates. That is how the free electricity in Delhi is happening, by killing the ease of business, by increasing the cost of doing business, by charging more to the commercial establishments. So to answer your question, if the people are now looking at Kejriwal versus Modi, I'm not even getting into the numbers right now. If they're looking between Kejriwal and Modi, they see a man who's indulged in corruption, whose entire party is indulging in corruption, but more importantly, before all that, he wasn't willing to work with the center. You remember Sheila Dikshit. Sheila Dikshit, for the 10 years or for whatever duration she was running Delhi, she was working with the center. So any chief minister in Delhi, anyone, it could be a BJP, Congress, or even an Aam Aadmi Party CM, they need to work with the center. Arvind Kejriwal, unfortunately, hasn't demonstrated that capability.
Okay. Can I also get in Pratim Ranjan Bose now and understand, Pratim Ranjan Bose, from you how Tushar said that, you know, there are people who are seeing the fact that that they believe that Arvind Kejriwal is not willing to work with the center. But being in Delhi, you know, all this, the liquor scam proceedings that have been going on, Arvind Kejriwal going to jail, being out on bail, all of that, as far as I am seeing, has divided Delhiites into 2 groups. One that believe that, you know, perhaps that he is involved, that, you know, the court is taking its own course, the law is taking its own course, and let's see what happens. But there is something to it. There are others who feel that the BJP is just maligning the Aam Aadmi Party and they're just trying to sort of entangle Arvind Kejriwal in a cobweb. Do you think that all of this and these 2 diametrically opposite sentiments will translate on the 25th of May into votes? How will that translate?
100%. I do agree with Mr. Gupta one thing. This interstate conflict, I think it is no more, voters are no more liking it. I can see that, the states which were known for that, it is no more being appreciated. And secondly, the benefits part was a very large part of Kejriwal government in Delhi. Now, I do agree also with the other panelists that the benefits, the beyond freebies, if you look at the trend nationally this year, it is beyond freebies. I mean, it has started happening from Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. We have seen that. So combining these two, so there has been some kind of normalization side, benefits you got normalized. So now so what next kind of things. But the biggest thing I think that is affecting, and that will affect this politics of constant, the regular conflicts and kind of throwing surprises, this leaker scam thing, the way it has happened, this jumping up summons, and some people say that it was done purposely so that it happens at the end, and then I can claim victimhood. All these things, ultimately, this thing I think will impact, will make a dent. It should make a dent in AAP's support this time.
Okay. Rameez Makhdoomi, apart from the center-state conflict, what do you think that would, influence the voter? What would be on their mind? Delhiites, of course, just voiced their concerns, but a larger picture of the issues that might be concerning the voter?
I guess
See, I
the
think
voter would be especially in rural areas, concerned with the problem of unemployment and inflation, which are real matters, especially for the rural voters in Delhi. And also, rising pollution has been a very key burning issue of Delhi. It's among the polluted cities of world. No doubt, some greenery has happened over the past few decades, but still, pollution in Delhi is a major problem, especially during the winters. I find pollution as the biggest issue. I slightly believe that safety of women in Delhi has improved as compared to 5, 6 years 10 years. It has at least improved in those areas which are in the main Delhi corridor. It is improving by the day. And I also think that regional conflicts are not too much in Delhi. You find a lot of security in hotels and other things of Delhi. But yes, pollution and inflation and unemployment are the key issues of Delhi, out of which I think pollution is the biggest issue of Delhi. Connectivity
Okay.
in Delhi is very fine as opposed to the other cities of India. You can take example of Mumbai or Kolkata. Connectivity wise, Delhi is very good. Transport wise, Delhi is very good. Metro has been a superb addition to Delhi. But yes, pollution, especially in the
Sure,
months of
connectivity and public
winter.
transport is smoother than other cities, but I think traffic woes is something which has also become a big challenge in the past few years. Let me also quickly shift our focus to the political battles that will play out in the constituencies of Delhi. And one of the most closely watched and crucial battles, Jemrug, will be Northeast Delhi, Kanhaiya Kumar versus Manoj Tiwari. And I was just talking to a friend, a short while back, where there was this sort of question that, perhaps Kanhaiya Kumar is perceived as the intellectual Bihari who came out of Bihar, went to JNU, studied there, as opposed to Manoj Tiwari, who is probably more relatable to the voter on ground. Would you agree with that?
Well, Delhi, interestingly, is going to be a very polarized fight. The AAP Congress on the one side and the BJP on the other side. However, I think what really matters in this election is, I'm here in Mumbai, I'm a voter in Mumbai. We just witnessed our election yesterday. And it was really an election between, okay, here's a prime minister and here's a set of regional leaders. Whom am I going to vote for? Literally, that was on the people's mind. So a lot of the shibboleths are going to be broken when the votes are counted on 4th of June. Now, I do see a similar phenomenon happening in Northeast Delhi also, that this vote is for the central government. And, therefore, whether intellectual or not, whose attributes of leadership, of which leadership of the party that I am looking to vote for on the during the voting. So as a cephalogist, I found that to be the overriding factor when people were casting votes. That's the reason over here in Mumbai too, a lot of traditional voters assumed to be voters of SHS, UBT, might, we'll know on the exit poll day and the counting day, but they might have voted the BJP. So I'm not sure in Delhi also whether the intellectual versus, somebody more, colloquial, that debate will work. It's simply going to be a vote for leadership, which leadership they prefer.
Oh, okay, Tushar Gupta, this plus the battle that will pan out in South Delhi, Bansuri Swaraj versus Somnath Bharti, a lot of people are saying that Bansuri Swaraj is just taking forward her mother's legacy, and the fact that, on ground we haven't seen her, would that be going against her?
Is that for me?
That's for Tushar. Tushar, are
I'm
you
sorry,
able
is
to
that
hear
question
me?
for
That's
me?
for you.
For me?
Yes. Yes, Tushar, it's for you.
Okay.
All right, all right. We'll try and fix that audio issue with Jay as well as Tushar. But Pratim Ranjan Bose, do you feel that you know this whole perception of carrying a parent's legacy forward versus somebody from the opposition party who's worked on ground, that would probably go against Basuri Swaraj in the national capital?
May not be, because as the other panelists said, that if the votes are, and which it should be, fought on national issues, then it's more of a party loyalty, or a loyalty to a leader, in this case Mr. Modi. So so I don't think that that will be a major issue over there, at least no, not at all.
So it's not the candidates, the individual candidates that people are looking at. They will be looking at the final prime ministerial face of the parties. I hope Tushar and Jay, you're able to hear me now clearly. All right, one quick last question, Tushar, before I shift to Haryana. The battle that we were talking about, not just in Northeast Delhi, but in South Delhi, where I said that Basuri Swaraj, is perhaps perceived as somebody who's taking Sushma Swaraj's legacy forward, but people haven't really seen her on ground, as opposed to Somnath Bharti, who has been, of course, low profile for a lot of time, but he's been seen on ground. Do you think that would go against her?
Oh, absolutely not. I think what further works in the favor in Bansuri Swaraj, apart from her credentials and apart from her political legacy, is the candidature of Somnath Bharti, because that candidature is so, I know, riddled with a lot of controversies. The party itself is in a disarray right now. You look at the Aam Aadmi party. Since Arvind Kejriwal has come out of jail, they have been enthralled in one controversy or the other. They have just not been able to campaign or send out one clear message, one cohesive message as a party out to the voter. And the voter also sees what's going on with their Rajya Sabha MPs. I mean, imagine in the week when Delhi is choosing their Lok Sabha MPs, the Aam Aadmi Party Rajya Sabha MPs are being beaten up in the CM's residence. So the voter sees it all. And of course, if you compare the credentials of Basuri Swaraj with Somnath Bharti, I don't think it's a difficult decision for the voter. They are going to go with the BJP and with the Basuri Swaraj.
All right, let me shift our focus now to Haryana, which will, of course, see a lot of crucial battles being fought in phase 6. Jemrug, we've seen farmers' protests, we've seen the wrestlers' issue coming to the fore. How do you think the voter in Haryana will be looking at these Lok Sabha elections? Would that be at the top of their mind when they go out to vote?
Well, look, certainly the BJP has attempted its own form of a social coalition building in Haryana. Which was even reflected in the choice of chief ministers lately, right? So they moved to Naib Singh Saini, who is sort of a leader of the group of OBCs.
Yeah.
Mr. Khattar was sort of neutral. The Congress and the INLD always look like Jat parties. In fact, even the way the agitations and the issues shaped up, both the wrestlers' issues and the farm issues was in a way indirectly, sort of linked more or less to the Jat community. So one thing that's happening in Haryana, one sort of picture is emerging very clearly, that on one side there are Jats, there are people who feel that the constitution, is in trouble and have to be saved, allegedly. And there is another set of people who say, oh, no, we are okay with this form of governance, this sort of achievements in government. And so that sort of polarization is clearly seen right now. Which means that the tally of 10 on 10, which was largely built on a political consensus last time, may not be easy to repeat for the BJP, clearly. So, yeah, we are expecting some sort of a contest in Haryana, sitting as a psephologist. That clearly seems to be happening.
Tushar, do you resonate with that? The key concerns there We've seen in the past, of course, we've seen the farm laws being repealed by the government. There's this constant tussle, and there is still a tussle that's been going on between the farmers' unions and the government of India. There was the Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh issue that has come to the fore. It's still not died down. People still have that on the top of their mind. Women's security comes with it. How do you think this will pan out?
You're asking me?
Well, actually, what happens is
I'm asking Tushar
issues often. Yeah. Now, issues often serve as
Tushar, are you
triggers.
able to hear me?
And then
No,
there is.
see, look, when we talk about Haryana, look, 10 seats in Haryana, there's always this discussion, Shreya, around Haryana, that is it going to be the local issues that dominate or the national issues? Now, since you spoke about the farm laws, one thing let's get very, very clear. When the second farmer protest happened in 2024, just a few months back, the center point was Ambala, not Singhu, it was Ambala. And even the Haryana population, that of the farmers, also saw how flawed the protest of the farmers was. So if you're talking purely on the basis of the sentiment of the farmer protest, I think that sentiment, the negativity has long evaporated. I don't think that will hurt the BJP. What may hurt the BJP is probably the 10-year anti-incumbency that is within the state against Manohar Lal Khattar, who's now been moved out. But if you're purely looking at a national level, if you're talking about infrastructure upgrades, if you're talking about welfare schemes, if you're talking about MSP, I think that is where the BJP comes out shining. If you look at the last 10 years alone, you look at the dedicated freight corridor, the peripherals, the expressways, the metros. Haryana has got it all. Haryana has got all. Even the Vande Bharat connectivity to Ambala, which goes further to Himachal and Jammu. So if you're purely talking on macro issues, I think the BJP has a stellar chance of winning 10 on 10 seats in Haryana. In Kurukshetra, it will be interesting, but Aam Aadmi Party would also cut through the fight. So they'll split up the Congress vote. But if you're looking purely on macro issues, I don't see any reason at all, that why Haryana should not give 10 seats to the BJP again. And I'm not even getting into the Ram Mandir factor yet, Shreya. I'm just showing on infra, welfare, farming issues. That's about it.
Okay. All right. Hold that thought, Tushar. We'll come back to this discussion. All right. We have an information coming in from Pune. We'll get our viewers that. But before that, let me quickly get in Pratim Ranjan Bose on this. And Tushar, you can, of course, add to it, because you and I would know what a nightmare it is to travel to Gurgaon, to Gurugram, now that with its new name, to come back from there, to go there. And therefore, that remains a huge concern. That should be one of the biggest concerns for the people of Haryana, there for the people of Gurugram. Tushar, you can go first, and then I can get in Pratim Ranjan.
Shreya, it's a very, very important point that you've raised about the Delhi Gurugram, or even Delhi Noida for that matter, or Delhi Faridabad, or Delhi Panipat. Even if you go all four directions across Delhi, the traffic is a nightmare. And that is why the DMRC, the Delhi Metro, is so important. But your question brings me back to the first point I raised about RRTS. One of the lines that is proposed, that is underway, which had the approval of the Rajasthan Chief Minister, which was then a Congress Chief Minister, the Haryana Chief Minister, was that of Delhi-Alwar route, which would have crossed Gurgaon. See, we can build as many roads as we want, but looking at Gurgaon, how it has emerged as an economic hub in the last 20 years, how Delhi is the center focus to the entire economy of North India, no roads is going to be enough. No quantum of road is going to be enough. So at the end of the day, you need more metros. You need more metro routes. You need more express trains like the RRTs, which is the Regional Rapid Transit System trains. And that is where the involvement of Arvind Kejriwal disappoints me. If you're talking about Delhi to Gurgaon, it's not that the center has to plan alone. The center is planning already on the RRTs. It's the non-cooperation of the Delhi Chief Minister, even when the Congress Chief Minister was willing to participate. That is the problem, Shreya, and that is the voters, they need to factor this in. Delhi, Gurgaon, Delhi, Faridabad, imagine Delhi as a circle. From any point, if you want to go anywhere,
Tushar, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to come back to this discussion. We have to go to Pune right now, where Devendra Fadnavis is holding a press briefing on the Porsche horror fallout. Let's listen into what he's saying.
एक तर ज्यांनी अंडर एजला दारू सर्व केली, मला असं वाटतं की पहिल्यांदाच त्यांच्यावर ॲक्शन झाली आहे. 4 लोकांना अरेस्ट करण्यात आलंय. आजच कोर्टाने त्यांना 4 दिवसाची रिमांड देखील दिलेली आहे. त्यासोबत जो मुलगा आहे त्याच्या वडिलांवरही त्या ठिकाणी गुन्हा दाखल करण्यात आलेला आहे, कारण कायद्याच्या अंतर्गत आपला मुलगा अज्ञान आहे हे माहिती असून त्याला गाडी देणं हाही गुन्हा आहे. त्याच्यामुळे त्याच्यावरही त्या ठिकाणी पोलिसांनी त्यांच्यावरही कारवाई केलेली आहे.
They should be punished. Action should be taken.
लवकरच पोलीस
We have
करणार
seen
आहेत.
that the action has been taken
मला असं
against
वाटतं की
them. Also, the father is responsible who knew that his son doesn't have license.
आणि मला विश्वास आहे की अशा प्रकारे दोन लोकांचा अपघातात मृत्यू होऊन लिनियंटली सोडून देणं हे काही सहन केलं जाणार नाही. त्यानुसार त्याच्यावर उचित कारवाई आहे चाललेली आहे. त्याच्यात न्याय हा निश्चितपणे मिळेल. यासोबत काही
So
मूलभूत
people have
मुद्दे
died and
देखील
justice will be served. This won't be treated as a lenient thing. This will be taken in absolute consideration and the matter will be held in a serious way.
त्या ठिकाणी आयडेंटिटी चेकिंग कुठलं होत नाही हा देखील महत्वाचा मुद्दा आहे. आयडेंटिटी चेकिंगचा अर्थ असा आहे की आपण बघितलं असेल तर त्यांच्यावर एक कंपल्शन आहे की त्यांनी आयडेंटिटी आणि एज चेक करूनच लोकांना आतमध्ये जाऊ दिलं पाहिजे. त्याचं चेकिंग कुठे होत
One
नाहीये.
important thing is that identity should be checked. The age limit, the age identity should be checked
मॉनिटर करणं
of the people who are coming in to the bars.
पोलिसांची चर्चा झालेली आहे, ते करणार आहे. त्यासोबत मोठ्या प्रमाणात ज्या भागामध्ये अशा प्रकारचे जॉईंट्स आहेत त्या भागामध्ये नाकाबंदी करून ड्रंकन ड्रायव्हिंग या संदर्भात इफेक्टिव्ह ऍक्शन घेणं हे देखील आता
Effective actions will be taken in the areas where there are more such points, more bars, and Nakabandi will be there.
ज्यांना लायसन्सेस मिळालेले आहेत ते लायसन्सेसच्या कंडिशन्स त्या ठिकाणी पाळतायत की नाही याची तपासणी करण्याचे आदेश हे पोलीस विभाग तर पाहिलंच पण महानगरपालिकेलाही देण्यात येतील आणि एक्साइज डिपार्टमेंटला देखील देण्यात येतील. आणि त्यानुसार
The bar owners are following the guidelines mentioned to have the license of bar or not. That will be checked by the municipal corporation as well as the police and the excise department.
नवीन लायसन्स देताना त्या ठिकाणी एक तर तो रेसिडेन्शियल एरिया असू नये आणि त्याचे काही काटेकोर नियम असावेत. अशा प्रकारचं देखील एक त्याची नोट ही मी
While giving new licenses will ensure that there should be a strict guideline.
या गोष्टींवर आपल्याला आळा आणता येईल. यासोबत मला असं वाटतं की कुठेतरी पालकांना देखील माझं निवेदन आहे की त्यांनीही स्वातंत्र्याचा स्वैराचार होत नाहीये याच्याकडे लक्ष दिलं पाहिजे. आता या केसमध्ये पालकांनी लक्षात
I
घेतलं
also urge parents that they should check how much freedom they are giving to their children.
पालकांच्या विरुद्ध या ठिकाणी जी काही तरतूद आहे ती इन्व्होक करण्यात आली आहे आणि यापुढे ही प्रत्येक वेळी करण्यात येईल. त्यामुळे पालकांनी देखील निश्चितपणे या संदर्भात
All right, Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, they're holding a press briefing on this horrific incident that came to the fore, saying that this minor should be tried as an adult, and after the Nirbhaya case, the legal age was supposed to be 16. That cutoff was supposed to be 16, after which an accused can be tried as an adult, and in this case, he's 17 years and 8 months. Remember, public outrage has followed this incident after the accused got bail within 15 hours of this accident with bizarre bail conditions such as writing an essay about the accident and working with the traffic police. We're talking about phase 6 of the Lok Sabha elections, which is scheduled to happen on the 25th of May. And one of the crucial states and crucial seats that are going to polls in phase 6 is from Bihar. Remember, Bihar is seeing a lot of interesting battles that are panning out. But apart from that, let's quickly take a look at the key issues that will be on the voters' mind in phase 6 of the Lok Sabha elections. The Paltu Ram factor remains. Remember, Nitish Kumar from one side to the other, oscillating between parties, has been on the top of voters' minds. Lack of job opportunities has in fact remained a voter concern for a very long time in Bihar, and that is why you see a lot of migration happening from the state as well. Spurious liquor sale is also something that concerns voters. A lot of deaths that happen due to, hooch that is sold in the state where it is banned, by the way. Floods and subpar state infrastructure is also something that voters keep on talking about. They need better infrastructure. They need better facilities. And of course, floods and the kind of management that follows the floods, that also remains a concern for voters in Bihar. Largely, these are the issues. Of course, education remains an important issue. Also, while we talk about education, I think midday meals has also become a big issue. Whether or not it translates to voter concern, we'll have to see. But let me go to my guests on this. Jaimrug, Bihar, of course, has these key battles that are panning out politically in phase 6, but the voter concern has largely been employment, has been education, has been better infrastructure in the state across all constituencies of Bihar.
You have to understand one thing, that Bihar is, still a largely agrarian state. And because of that, the aspirational quotient of the voters is going to be much more higher as compared to the other states. Now, a consequence of the aspirational quotient being higher is the fact that they will even be switching sides quickly and be much more punishing of the existing leaders. So I think this is where Mr. Nitish Kumar, with his government being, in place for such a long time, he does face a challenge, as not only as Mr. Paltu Ram, but also that, okay, now this is the next level of my aspiration. What are you doing to fulfill that? So yes, that is an issue there. Nevertheless, he is balanced in his alliance with Mr. Modi, who perfectly, embodies the aspirational coefficient of great parts of India. The fact that he might still be delivering something more in his third term. So I think that is a compensating effect. However, whatever little the NDA loses in Bihar, to the RJD and alliances, will be purely because they too have been selling an aspirational dream. So clearly, Bihar is going to be a story of a competitive selling of the aspiration hope factory. That's going to be the story of Bihar.
I don't know, Jay, if it's aspirational. It's even lower than that. Aspiration is something you aspire about, you have after you have the basic facilities. There are certain constituencies in Bihar, Pratim Ranjan Bose, that don't even have the basic facilities. And that's what the voter concern has been, not just this year, but election after election. That has been a big voter concern.
Yes, Shreya. First of all, if it is an aspirational vote, I really welcome it. Mr. Prashant Kishore has been trying to change the voting pattern of this state. But otherwise, casteism took a huge precedence here. And you are very right about, and that is what distorts the growth. We all know wherever, the things are not fought on growth agenda, there it happens. So, given that the suboptimal level of life has really is really an issue, and that is exactly why CPIML, which has joined this coalition with RJD and Congress, from the last assembly election, they have made a good dent in Bihar. I think this time, yes, there are. We all know that BJP was expecting a deficit of, NDA deficit of around 7 odd seats. And I think they have worked on that. And this partly in North Bihar, Champaran area, Siwan area, there are some issues. There will be some, probably there will be some deficit and in the end.
Tushar, it's interesting that Pratim Ranjan Bose talked about the caste factor. And, if you go to Bihar and you talk about their concerns, they'll tell you, they'll list out and give you a long list of the concerns, whether it's education, it's employment, it's better infrastructure. But when the Bihari goes out to vote, a lot of that is also based on the caste factor. The caste fault lines still exist.
100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 100% 1
Well, absolutely. Look, the caste is not going out of the Bihar politics anytime soon, unfortunately. But Bihar is also an aspiring society. Shreya, you spoke about basic facilities, and that's a very, very important component in this election. I think if you're looking at Bihar in this election, we have to look at the women voter. I'll give you a perspective here. In 2019, when this government started the Jal Jeevan Mission, Bihar had 1.6 crore rural households. That is 100% of the rural households were without a tap water connection. Today, 5 years later, if you look at the ratio of the female rural population to a tap water, that's one tap water connection for every 3 females in the rural parts of Bihar. That's phenomenal. That's almost one tap water connection every household, which is 96% progress, which is what the numbers also say. If you look at the Awas Yojana, every fifth rural household in Bihar has a house under the PM Awas Yojana. If you look at the self-help groups, which this government has passionately revived, 25% of the females in rural Bihar are now covered under self-help groups. If you talk about the Ujjwala Yojana, the gas cylinder Yojana, the household ratio, for every one rural household, there is approximately one cylinder being distributed. So, of course, Bihar is a story of caste, but Bihar is also a story of margins. And when you talk about margins, you have to talk about the women voter as well. If you go back to 2020, and at that time, Narendra Modi government had just completed 6 years in the center, the welfare schemes were beginning to take off in the rural areas. Jal Jeevan Mission was pretty new. At that time also, it was the women voter who swung the elections in the favor of the BJP that enabled BJP to emerge as the single largest party in the state. Though without a majority, but the single largest party. I think in 2024 also, there will be margins. There will be a couple of seats where the BJP may find it challenging. But the women voter, if they overwhelmingly are voting for the BJP, I think the party is going to be invincible. Even about the JDU, the Palturam factor you spoke about, and that's a very, very important factor. What a lot of people don't realize is that the voter who's miffed with the JDU, the traditional JDU voter, they won't go to the RJD. They will go to the BJP instead. BJP is the rising force in Bihar. JDU is the declining force in Bihar. So a miffed JDU voter, because of Palturam factor, whatever you want to call it, will swing towards the BJP. That enables the BJP to do better. Yes, but will it cost JDU any seats? We'll know in this election itself. Because how JDU performs in this election will set the foundation for the assembly elections next year.
Okay, we'll have to see how it really pans out. And like you mentioned, Tushar, whether it's Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or Ujjwala Yojana, all of these schemes translating to votes, whether or not that happens, we'll really have to see this time around. But let's shift our focus quickly to Uttar Pradesh as well. Another battle that's panning out in Uttar Pradesh. And let me come to you, Rameez, for this. Uttar Pradesh has two big things that are always talked about in the past few years. One is the law and order situation, and the other, of course, now you have the Ram Mandir inauguration. How much of that has an impact on the voter? Is there, and are there any other concerns that the voter would be looking at, or these two big issues will be concerning and will be dominating the voter concern?
For the pro-BJP voter, Ram Temple inauguration matters a lot, and they will vote on the lines of Ram Temple. Because for them, it is an issue of faith, it is an issue of long promise being fulfilled. So the core constituency of BJP voters would definitely vote on the Ram Temple issue, because it had been their pending demand since decades that Ram Temple be installed at Ayodhya. So the BJP's core constituency would definitely vote on Ram Temple lines. While as the opposition, which seems to be single-handedly run by the Samajwadi Party under Akhilesh Yadav, will try to harp on the issues like the use of bulldozer or agrarian crisis, especially in the western Uttar Pradesh. Samajwadi Party will try to harp on the agrarian and farm distress issues and the farmers' agitation that had good number support from the western Uttar Pradesh. So for Samajwadi Party, the plank would be the issue of farmers, and also among the minorities, they will try to highlight the bulldozer politics. But for BJP, the issues would be quite clearly defined by the Ram Temple inauguration and other core issues of the Hindutva constituency, and they will try to garner as much as vote possible. For me, the slight advantage is in Uttar Pradesh, though we cannot comment till the results are out. But as an analyst, as a journalist, I feel BJP has upper hand in Uttar Pradesh, with Samajwadi Party being the number 2 party.
Let me also quickly take this across to Jay Mrug. Jay, if Bihar had caste over the local issues and basic facilities, Uttar Pradesh perhaps has faith dominating more than any other issue. Would that be a correct assessment?
No, well, not exactly. It is the BJP government's welfare schemes, the Labharthis, the orientation of Labharthis towards the BJP, irrespective of caste. So it's not faith. In fact, it is, two wheels, Hindutva and the other is the welfare state. I think both together have, created this recipe of success for the BJP in UP. So while caste also does actually matter in UP, each of the fronts, the NDA and the India Alliance, they have put up their own caste calculus in each and every constituency, which is the reason you see Raja Bhaiya sometimes in conversation with Mr. Amit Shah. You see, Mrs. Anupriya Patel trying to change her constituency. It's all across the maze. However, it has been the success of the BJP's welfare schemes that have sort of ameliorated the impact of caste to some extent. So that's the real story.
And what would go in favor of the opposition, SP, and the Congress in the state?
Is the question for?
Jay, are you able to hear me? Yes, this is for you, Jay.
The question was half heard. The voice keeps like breaking in spurts.
Are you able to hear me now, Jay?
Yeah, now again I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so my question, Jay, was, and what goes in the favor of SP and the Congress, the opposition there in the state?
Well, what goes in favor of the opposition? I think one thing has worked in favor of the opposition, that Mr. Akhilesh Yadav quite a while ago accepted the reality that he needs to plan beyond the BSP. I mean, the fact that those votes are not going to be available to him, Behenji is not going to come in for an alliance. So then working on, grassroots level leaders of her party as well, drafting them into local coalitions, working out, hide and seek relationships with Mr. Chandrasekhar Azad, working out relationships with other communities such as the Nishads and the Kurmis, building his own coalition, building his own narrative around PDA. I think that has created some space for the SP and Congress. We don't know to what extent that space translates into seats. That is yet to be seen. But clearly, I think the one thing that worked for them was that way early they realized they need to live beyond the BSP and actually create an alternative for those votes which are going to come from the BSP. So that's something which has, helped them to, stay in contest for this election.
Okay, Pratim Ranjan Bose, let me talk to you about West Bengal now. Crucial seats going to polls in phase 6 as well. And we've talked earlier about this, the issues that concern the voter on ground in West Bengal. Women's safety, Sandesh Khali has been a major issue. The political war of words between the BJP and the TMC goes on every day. How much of that is resonating with people on ground? What are their concerns? How would this really move forward in phase 6?
So, the Sandesh Khali thing is going to impact poll results of Basirhat. Trinamool won this by, I think, close to 3.5 lakh margin. But, they are, I won't be surprised if there is something changes in this election. So that is one side of the story. It is how much it has resonated in other parts of the state will be known with time, because this time also there are certain distinction with this election in West Bengal. In my professional life of over 30 years, this is the most peaceful and silent election I have been noticing. Peaceful, by the tallies. Silent means, I'm sure your reporters are also giving you the same feedback. Voters are exceptionally silent this time. You cannot gauge the mood. To my understanding, that is a cause of concern for Trinamool. Apparently, the anti-establishment has been working against Trinamool, and the biggest factor is which is once again will be known after the election, is about the minority votes. This is a huge area. This is the basic plank of Trinamool, and there has been some trends have been noticed over there. How strong is this? We will know only on June 4th.
Okay. Apart from West Bengal, of course, we also have Odisha, which will see the BJP versus BJD tussle and how it really pans out. But I have to wrap this up. But before I wrap this up, let me quickly go across to Rameez Makhdoomi and understand from him the battle that's panning out in Anantnag Rajouri seat. That's a crucial seat. Mehbooba Mufti fighting out there, Rameez. But to help us understand, what's the general sentiment of people on ground? It's the first election after the abrogation. How is that really moving forward?
Well, voting turnout has been exceptionally high. And for that, NDA government is taking it as due credit. It has been a historic voter turnout in decades. And but when it comes to results, the upper hand would be likely on the traditional parties, National Conference, which looks strong in Srinagar, as well as Baramulla, and in South Kashmir, PDP led by Mehbooba Mufti is presenting a strong fight. So that needs to be seen who wins that seat. It's the seat of competition between National Conference and PDP. And on Baramulla seat, it's a very stiff competition between National Conference's Umar Abdullah, which concluded polls yesterday, and firebrand leader in Tihar jail, Engineer Rashid. Rest, the battle line is in Anantnag between Mehbooba Mufti of PDP and this National Conference's Mia Altaf, and in Srinagar, National Conference looks to have the upper hand over its counterpart PDP's Wahid Rahman Para. The voting turnout has been unprecedented and historic from all the constituencies, and in Anantnag also the voting turnout is expected to be high, and on the result day it looks that traditional parties might dominate the results.
All right, we'll have to see when that day comes and how it really pans out for all political parties. But I'll wrap it up here. Tushar Gupta, Jai Mruk, Pratim Ranjan Bose and Rameez, thank you very much to all of you gentlemen for joining us on Road to Lok Sabha 2024 and sharing your perspectives on Phase 6 of the Lok Sabha election.